the owners of the Rainbow Pub and Grill, you, have requested me to inform all patrons from around the world that they do not compromise on the quality of food, service, or the entertainment that is occasionally featured in this establishment. All of the trimmings, the presentation, the service has to meet the highest standards so that the experience, the enjoyment, the memory is imprinted in your hearts and you're left longing to return. What that PSA means is that prep time has to be taken into consideration, which is why the story of Guido and Ulysses has taken this much time, even though my efforts, my intentions have been to keep it minimal. But tonight we shall end it. We'll get out of here. I too can't wait. And so here is a siren painter, a painting. It's dated 5th century BCE. We have Ulysses tied to the mast. His compatriots are seated on the boat, their oars in the water. Also shown are these bird-like creatures, the sirens. They bewitch sailors with their sounds, lure them into the water, they lose their senses and meet their end. Ulysses and his crew, they're on their way back home. They've been out for the past 10 years. Their sea vessel was wrecked and they washed up ashore on this island called Gaeta. The lady who inhabits the island, calls it a home, is really a goddess. She takes care of Ulysses, rehabilitates him back to health, and in the process falls in love with him. And she wants him to stay. But his focus is on getting back home. He's already been away for almost 10 years. A year passes and all her charms, her entreaties, her offerings do not compel Ulysses to stay. So she finally lets him go because she loves him and gives him a warning. Watch out for the sirens. She's afraid for Ulysses and his journey back. Tells him they would tempt you with intellectual pleasures, a far graver danger to a man like Ulysses. Churchill believes that if the sensual pleasures are represented by her, then the sirens, their offering to a man like Ulysses, is the irresistible temptation of infinite knowledge that makes one forego all one's other moral and social commitments. And so he tells his men to tie him up to the mast of the ship and fill their ears with wax so they're not affected by the siren song. And this is sort of a backstory to draw a caricature of the kind of man Ulysses is. He's an adventurer, a seeker. So this is what he tells Dante in his speech. What strikes us about his speech, the tone, is that he's had time to reflect on his actions, and it seems like he has accepted his punishment. He seems to agree what he did was wrong. It's more of a linear straight line, whereas in Guido's case, it's far from a straight line. It coils up on itself. Here's what he says. When I departed Churchill, who had detained me for more than a year, there near Gaeta, neither fondness for my son Telemachus, or my aged father, or the due love which would have made my wife Penelope glad, could conquer in me this longing that I had to gain experience of the world, and of human vice and worth. And so he makes this little speech to his comrades. We were not formed to live the life of brutes, but virtue, and to pursue the knowledge. With these few words I had sharpened for the voyage the mind of my associates, and after that I could scarcely have withheld them. So they were so gung-ho, wound up to go with him. Why, it's raining again. Let's sit down, shall we? Here, under this portico. And so Ulysses and his crew, instead of returning home because they had almost got to the Gulf where they could easily have reached home safely, considering the fact that they're all aged and it's time for them in life to lower their sails, settle down to a domestic life which is waiting for them. And here we have Ulysses, right at that moment, making a turn. He influences, inspires them to, look for new lands, which results in the tragic end. This is how the end came. They encountered a fierce storm. 3 times it whirled up the ship round with all the waters, and the 4th time it lifted the stern aloft and plunged the prow beneath, as it pleased another, till the sea closed over us. Well, this is it. We are out, and I see the lighthouse at a distance. This canto, this scene, this whole situation has been dissected, sliced, diced, analyzed by so many brilliant minds. The only reason I somehow fell into it, I suppose, into telling the story, which I'm still wondering why I did, is to perhaps, extract from it this idea of self-love in terms of Ulysses as well as Guido and where it got them. Not only that, but the collateral damage, because there was other people who were innocents affected by their decision, which is why fraud is right up there in terms of sin in the Divine Comedy. Oh, I see. The lighthouse looks beautiful. White with a red roof. The cool winds. Here, take my coat.